Olympus launched a new camera last week to their E-M5 lineup, the Olympus E-M5 MKIII, and the previous version of course was the E-M5 MKII. And on this video I'm gonna put these cameras head to head and compare these and what's new in this one, and is this still a camera to consider. Stick around to see what I think about these two cameras. Hi there, I'm Peter Forsgard, an Olympus visionary and a professional photographer from Helsinki, Finland. And before we get into these two cameras, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that bell so you get notified when there is a new video online. My channel is all about you getting to be a better photographer and of course about Olympus gear. And remember, I post 2 videos a week, usually on Tuesdays and on Fridays. But let's start. Usually when a new camera comes to the market, the old one also gets some attention, and usually there is a price drop on the new, or not the new one, but the older model. And always remember, when there is a new camera on the market, the old one or the previous model is still as good as it used to be. And that's why it's very interesting to compare these and see if this is still worth to get. For some reason it always starts to rain when I'm in this park. I don't know why, but that happens every time. It happened when I was here with the 300mm f4 to test. But let's get on with these two cameras. Alright, let's start with the design. They look quite similar, as you can see. But the main difference in usability, that's a design thing, is the position of the back wheel. And on this one it's a lot easier to access. It's a bit further back, so it's easy to change the exposure compensation from the back wheel. With this one it's a bit harder. I need to reposition my hand when I do that. But otherwise, of course, the new one is a lot better in my hand when I'm carrying it around. And if I don't have to use the back dial, then this one is a lot better in my hand. Another design difference is the placement of the mode dial. On this one, as you can see, it's on the same side as the shutter button and all the dials, but on this one it's on the other side here. And I think it's a good thing that it's in the same place as all the other new OMD cameras have. They all have the mode dial on this side, and that's a good thing. It's easier to use if you have several different OMD cameras. It's because we have this muscle memory, and it's easier that way. And then there is one good thing about the mode dial, that it has the custom button or custom mode there, so you can store your settings to the camera and then you can access them. If you or save them to custom mode 1, then you can access them from the mode dial. This one you need to go to the menus, and that's not a very good thing. It's a lot harder to do. But there's one thing that is better on this one that comes to the custom modes or the custom settings, or my sets like it's called on this one. It's that you can customize the buttons that you have. This one has 6 and this has 7 customizable buttons, and you can customize my set to a button on this one. But on this one you cannot save custom mode 2 and custom mode 3 on the buttons, and I think that's something that they should fix on this one. That can be probably fixed with the firmware in the future, and I hope they do that. But otherwise, as I said, this one is a bit better to use, and they both have same kind of articulating screen, which is a really good thing for example for video. It's a really good. And the buttons on the back of a camera are laid out exactly the same. And on the E-M5 MKIII, the leveler switch can be used as a power button. I like to use it because then I can switch the camera on and off with one hand. I just hold it in my hand, the camera, and then with the thumb I can turn it on and off. It's really easy, and I like that feature. And the menu system on the new camera looks exactly the same as it does in the AM1 lineup. So that's a good thing. It's easier. As I said, it's easier. We have the muscle memory. And what's really funny about, I've always said that the menu system is a bit messy, but I was watching Tony and Chelsea Northrop's video where they talked about the E-M1 MKIII, and they said that Olympus has one of the best menu systems. So maybe I need to rethink and be not that, let's say, critical about, or how is that the way to say it? Not criticize the menu system too much. Maybe, or then maybe I need to look at some other camera brands and see how their menus work. Maybe I go to a camera store and check them out. But as I said, the menu system, it looks very similar, or is actually is actually exactly the same as the one in the EM1 Mark II and EM1X. The EVF has changed. The EM1 Mark III has a new EVF, and it's a lot better than the old one. With the EM5 Mark III, you can see through the viewfinder even with your glasses on, and that's a really good thing. You can see the edges of the viewfinder easier than with the older one, and that's a really good improvement. And the EVF is a lot brighter in the EM5 Mark III versus the EM5 Mark II, so that's also a big improvement. The EM5 Mark III is 55 grams lighter than the EM5 Mark II, and that's a good thing, because this lineup, OMD EM5 lineup, is meant for casual shooting, everyday shooting, travel, street, and that kind of shooting. And on that genre, I think it's really good that you have a camera that is really light. But usually a heavier camera is more stable, and this one has half a stop better IBIS than this one. And I compared the IBIS on this one with the EM1 Mark II, which is a lot heavier than this one, and I couldn't see any differences in the results. I could get sharp images with long exposures using the stabilizer on both of these, or both of those cameras. And that was my previous video when I had the battle against EM1 Mark II, the new one, the EM5 Mark III. So if you haven't seen that video, go check that out and see which one is a better camera. But let's get back to these two. And as I said, this one has a half a stop better image stabilizer. It's brand new image stabilizer. It's the same technology or the same system, but it's built to be a lot smaller because this is a lighter and a smaller body. But what about the image quality? That's one really important thing, of course. The difference comes from, of course, that this has 20 megapixels, this has the older sensor 16 megapixel, and this has the TruePic 8 processor, this has TruePic 7. So there should be a difference. And Olympus says in their marketing material that this has 2 stops cleaner image than this one. So 1600 ISO equals 6400 ISO on this one, on the new camera. That is something that I of course wanted to test. And in my tests, when I turned off the noise reduction on both cameras, used the neutral picture profile and took the image from the same place, I would say that 1 stop. But when you turn on the noise reduction, then the 2 stops is a bit closer. But that is something that I really need to test and make an own video and really test it and see what is the difference in real life. But my preliminary tests on that is that it's about 1 to 2 stops. It depends on the settings on the camera. So it is better, which is also good because it's a new camera, has a bit better sensor and a bit better processor. So that's the way it should be. Out of the box JPEGs are really great from Olympus cameras, and that's what I did with these 2 cameras when I took some images with them and compared the image quality. And the images look quite similar. The color style or the look and feel of the image is about the same. There's not much of a difference, except of course the pixel amount is different. But let's see what those images look like. The new camera, the EM5 Mark III, is a lot faster, and that means that it can shoot 30 frames per second with electronic shutter and 10 with the mechanical shutter, and the EM5 Mark II can shoot 11 frames per second with electronic shutter and 10 with the mechanical shutter. Even though these cameras are not made for fast shooting, the reason that this has the 30 frames per second is that of course it has a better processor, more powerful processor, so it's possible, but also they put the Pro Capture mode on this one, which is a really good feature to have in camera. And the way the Pro Capture works is that you press the shutter button halfway and the camera starts taking the images and storing them in the buffer. And then when you press the shutter button all the way down, it starts taking images, and it will store maximum of 14 images on this camera to the memory card. So you have 14 images before you even started taking those images. And that's a really good thing, for example, in bird photography, where you can have really nice images when the bird is about to leave or starts flying or landing, and that's a really good way. And of course that can be used in sports. With the Pro Capture it's a lot easier to get that decisive moment in a fast situation, and I'm glad they had it on the E-M5 MKIII also. And as you can see, there are not too many leaves in the trees anymore. They're all fallen down to the ground, and that makes the fall here in Finland really colorful. Unfortunately, I've been busy and have not been able to make these videos outside that much, so I missed the best part, but you can still see how colorful those leaves are. Both cameras have Wi-Fi, of course, and that's a good thing, because then you can transfer images to your mobile phone, or you can also control the camera from the mobile device. And in addition to the Wi-Fi, the E-M5 MKIII also has Bluetooth. And that's a really good thing, because then you can have your camera turned off and the Bluetooth will wake it up and turn on the Wi-Fi, and then you can browse your images and transfer your images even though you have your camera off. It can be in your backpack here in the back, and then you can still browse your images. And that's a really good thing, so you don't have to take your camera out and turn the power on for transferring images. And that's a good improvement. But I have to say that the biggest improvement on the new E-M5 MKIII compared to the E-M5 MKII is the AF. The new camera has the same AF as the E-M1 cameras. That is the biggest improvement. And this one has face detection, and this has contrast AF. And this one has 121 cross type focus points, and this one has only 81. The area that it covers is about the same, but this AF improvement means that this camera is a lot better. It's totally a different AF on this one, even though I've never had any real problems on AF on this one, because of course this one is meant for more easy shooting and street type photography. You might not need that fast autofocus, but this one has Pro Capture and is meant more for nature photographers and those that need a faster autofocus. And it's a good thing it's in here, that it's in here. And I still want to say that it's remarkable that they put the same AF algorithm and the same AF system on a lot cheaper body than, for example, E-M1X or the E-M1 MKII. It works as good as the AF on those two cameras. There's a kindergarten right there, so if you hear some kids screaming on the video, so don't worry, they are playing outdoors. But let's get back into the camera and let's talk about the video qualities for a while. I remember when MKII came to the market, it was a remarkable video camera for one reason. It had a really good image stabilizer. You could get beautiful handheld shots with it, and you still can, but what it lacks the 4K which they put on this one, which is really good. And another good thing is that the stabilizer is even better, and then you have very high bitrate. You have the same bit rates as you have on the E-M1 lineup cameras, and that's really good thing. And you also have very high bitrate, full HD. You have Cinema 4K, you have Ultra HD with different frame rates, and what makes this a very good video camera. What it does not have is the headphone jack, but for example, this camera is really good for vlogging, and in vlogging you don't really need it. Like, I have my camera on a tripod right now and I'm not monitoring the audio. I don't need the headphones actually when I do vlogging, or I don't know if this is called vlogging, but anyways, when I film myself for my videos. And when I first saw the E-M5 MKIII, I thought that, yeah, very good camera, nice improvements. But now that I have actually compared them side by side, I came to realize how much better this camera is, the new one. And it's remarkable that they have put so many features from E-M1 MKII. And as I said in the video where I compared the E-M5 MKIII to the E-M1 MKII, that they are quite similar. There are differences, but they are quite similar. And that makes me think that, is this the old camera, the E-M5 MKII, still worth to get? And let's talk about that for a while. And as I said in the beginning of this video, that when a new camera comes out, the old one does not get any worse. It's still as good as it was before. even though it might lack the newest features and stuff like that. But to be honest, this camera is still really good to use, and I still will be using this because I like this camera quite a lot. And of course, then there is considering the price difference. Usually when a new camera comes to the market, the older model gets price reduction. It's going to be on sale, and of course there are lots of people that might trade in and take this back to the store and get some money from this and then get a reduction on this one, so they trade from this to this, and that gives the older model also a very lucrative prices because you can get it used. And when buying a used camera, just be sure to test it before that it's good, and there's no you know, marks on the outside and stuff like that. And if you go to a store, they usually give you some kind of warranty for, I don't know, in Finland it's usually like 30 days for used cameras. So be sure to check that you have a warranty for your camera if you buy it used. And there is one thing that I need not say. That is the battery life. Mark II has a bit better battery life, and that could mean something. Of course, you can charge this with the USB, but still, a bigger and better battery is a big thing for me, at least. And there's one thing about the price difference that I did not mention. The price difference with the new bodies with these two cameras is around 300 euros. And if you can afford this one, by all means, go and get it. It's a marvelous camera. But remember, the 300 euros can get you another lens, or maybe it can get you a nice dinner with your loved ones, which is also important. So, as I always say, never break your bank or buy something that you really cannot afford. It won't increase your ability to make images. You'll be a lot, let's say, happier if you save some money and still get a camera, because you can get almost the same kind of images with either of these, with a few exceptions, which is, let's say that if you want to photograph birds and stuff like that, then this one is a lot better. But if you have these two for travel, street, casual, everyday leisure photography, I don't think there is a big difference which one to get. Get the one that you can afford. Did I miss something, some specs, and what do you think? Which one is better? Do you think that this one still has a chance in the market because it's still on the market and you can get this one? Or do you think that everybody is getting this one because of the better features? What do you think? Are you going to buy the new E-M5 Mark III? What do you think? And next, you might want to watch these two videos. The first one is about the E-M5 Mark III and a playlist where I have collected all the videos about this camera that I've made. And then the lower one is about the E-M5 Mark II. But hey, thanks for watching and bye for now.